Hello everyone, welcome and thank you for dialing in our webinar today. My name is Jasper Jade Estrella, crop protection major student at Davao Sur State College. Today we'll be discussing about sustainable agriculture and soil microbes. Our speaker for today is FISZELLE BAYOT, Ray LOLIPAY, and Miss Sherry DIONA. You can expect each speaker to have the floor for about 10 minutes and we'll conduct a short Q&A at the end of each session. If you have any questions during the webinar, please type them into the chat window. We'll address them during the Q&A. By the end of our time today, we hope that you will feel more comfortable and confident about soil microbes, and that we are very passionate on our field, and we have many exciting stories and learnings to share with you today. Well, we'll start with our first speaker, Miss FISZELLE BAYOT, who will be speaking on topic definition of sustainable agriculture and soil microbes, importance of sustainable agriculture and soil microbes. Okay, Miss FISZELLE, you may now start sharing your slide.
Okay, so sustainable agriculture and soil microbes. What is sustainable agriculture? It is a system in which agricultural techniques in both existing and industrial and traditional agriculture systems are modified in order to meet the needs of current and future generation while conserving natural resources. So sustainable agriculture has three major aspects, which is the environment, society, and economy. Next is, what is soil microbes? Soil microorganisms are microscopic life forms such as bacteria, archaea, viruses, and eukaryotes such as fungi. So here is the example of microorganism found in soil. As you can see in the picture. Okay, so I have here an example of relative numbers and biomass of microbial species at 0.6 inches or 0.0 to 15 centimeter depth of soil. Here are microorganisms, number of soil and biomass, bacteria, actinomycetes, fungi, algae, protozoa, and nematodes. Soil microorganisms are abundant in soil as long as there is a carbon source of energy. There are many bacteria in the soil, but their biomass is small due to their small size. Actinomycetes are 10 times fewer in number, but 10 times larger in size, making them similar in biomass to bacteria. Fungus populations are smaller, but when the soil is not disturbed, they dominate the biomass. Bacteria, actinomycetes, and protozoa are more hardy and can tolerate more soil disturbance than fungal populations. So they predominate in tilled soil, whereas fungus and nematodes population predominate in no-till soils. So, example. What is sustainable? Why is sustainable agriculture important? Sustainable farming is important because it provides a solution to the problem caused by the current methods of growing most of our food. Sustainable agriculture benefits the environment by helping to maintain soil quality, reducing erosion, and conserving water in addition to preserving the Earth's natural resources. So here is the part of the economy. Sustainable agriculture can sustain rewards to producers long and short term. Sustainable agriculture in the economy maintain yields and productivity long term. Sustainable agriculture can help society to satisfy human needs for food and shelter, and etc. Food self-sufficiency and not causing burdens to future generation. Sustainable agriculture can also help environment for the long-term functioning of ecosystems, maintenance of natural resources, and preservation of climate and land condition. Soil microbes importance. Sustainable farming is important because it addresses the issues caused by the current methods of growing the majority of our food. In addition to preserving the Earth's natural resources, sustainable agriculture benefits the environment by helping to maintain soil quality, reduce erosion, and conserve water. So here's the example of use of the soil microbes in plant and soil. Here. And that's all.
Thank you, Ms. FISZELLE, for that beautiful presentation. Who has questions? Anyone from the viewers? You may now raise your questions for the first speaker.
Sir, I have a question for your presentation.
Okay, Mr. TALADUA, you may raise your question.
If food production is not sufficiently profitable to make a living, what conclusion would you draw about an economy or economic system?
Okay, Ms. FISZELLE, may you answer that question?
Okay. Agriculture sector, food production comes under the primary sectors of an economy. Primary industry comprises agriculture, animal husbandry, fishery, and so on. So food production is the process of transforming raw materials of a country into consumption goods, and that is an edible commodity. That's all.
Okay, well, thank you.
Okay. Any more questions?
Hello, sir.
Okay, Mr. GESULGA, do you have anything for our first speaker?
Ano ang pumutana, sir? How does sustainable agriculture help the environment?
Okay, Ms. FISZELLE?
Okay, the goals of sustainable agriculture are to help provide enough food for everyone, bring communities out of the poverty, and provide an enhanced quality of life for farming families, and utilize farming methods that promote soil health and reduce reliance on fossil fuels for environmental sustainability.
Okay, hope that Ms. FISZELLE answered your question, Sir EDREAN GESULGA. Okay, silence means yes. So, natubag siguro. Okay. Okay, those are all the questions. Anything else you want to touch before we move on to our next guest? Ms. FISZELLE? I think none. Okay. How about our viewers? Do you have any more any more questions that you want to touch before we proceed to our next guest? Okay, I guess it's none. Okay, let's proceed to our second speaker, Mr. Ray LOLIPAY. Mr. Ray LOLIPAY is currently studying crop protection. He's studying at Davao del Sur State College, same as Ms. FISZELLE. And then his topic is about example of soil microbe and the definition of different soil microbes. Okay, let's proceed to our second speaker, Mr. Ray LOLIPAY. You may now share your screen.
So good day everyone. Again, my name is Ray LOLIPAY. So the topic is example and definition of different soil microbes. Bacteria. Bacteria is the crucial workforce of soil. They are the final stage of breaking down nutrients and releasing them to the root zone of the plant. In fact, the Food and Agriculture Organization once said bacteria may well the most valuable of life forms in the soil. So the bacteria are smallest and numerous organisms in soil. So they are prokaryotic organism in soils. Ang laki nila ay 0.5 to 1 millimeter at ang haba nila ay 1 to 2 millimeter. So bacteria are the smallest, the most numerous. Like the common bacterial genera related from soil include Bacillus, Antrobacter, Pseudomonas agrobacterium, Alcaligenes, Clostridium, Flavobacterium, Corynebacterium, Microcus santimonas, and Microbacterium. So the positive effects of bacteria in soil. Bacteria are the important part of the biotic component of soil as they are responsible to numerous ecological activities occurring of the soil. Soil bacteria communities provide a multitude and ecosystem service that directly and indirectly affect the overall functioning of the soil environment. Bacteria are the part of different biochemical cycle like a nitrogen cycle and carbon cycle, where they are involved in the production of large number of nutrients for the soil and the plants. So ang bacteria is important in the soil kasi nagbibigay ito ng large amount of nitrogen for the plants. And also, it helps to para madali ma-decompose ang mga patay na hayop or mga halaman para may balik ang mga nutrients sa lupa. Besides, the bacteria are important for the enzymatic degradation of complex organic and soil substances to nutrients and the release of nutrients and trace enzymes element from the mineral soil reaction. So the second, actinomycete. Actinomycete were once classified as fungi and act similarly in the soil. However, some actinomycetes are predators and will harm the plant, while others living in the soil can act as antibiotic for the plant. Actinomycetes are filamentous bacteria, most of which are gram-positive bacteria and are more abundant in neutral to alkaline. It turned into the healthy soil. So the example of actinomycete found in soil. Actinomycete population is largest in the surface layer of soil and gradually decrease with the depth. Individual actinomycete strain are present in all soil layers. Besides, some actinomycetes are rarely isolated from desert soil, which include Microbispora, Microtetraspora, Amycolaptuses, Actimonadora, and Saccoratrix. They grow as like fungi, resulting in the characteristically earth smell or fresh turned into healthy soil. So the positive effects of actinomycete in soil. Actinomycete decompose the more resistant and indecomposable organic substances and produce several dark black to brown pigments which contribute the dark color of the soil humus. These organisms are almost responsible to the subsequent decomposition of humus, resistant materials in soil. Actinomycetes are the leading group of soil microorganisms that play a major role in the recycling of organic matters in the environment by the production of hydraulic enzyme, Many properties related to the actinosite have ability to act as biocontrol. So the actinosite help to maintain the biotic equilibrium of soil by cooperating with nutrient cycling. And also nag-defend siya sa actinosite against pathogenic bacteria and fungi and plant nutrient scavenging. So there are the negative effects of actinomycete in soil. First, some products of actinomycete might affect the microorganism of the soil, resulting to decreased diversity. Pathogenic species of actinomycete result in the plant disease that affect plant health and crop loss. So, third, fungi. Like bacteria, fungi also lives in the root zone and helps make nutrients available to plants. So, ang fungi kagaya rin ng bacteria na tumutulong sa magbigay nutrients to the plants. So, soil fungi are eukaryotic organisms which can be unicellular but often are multicellular. Most other fungi have highly branched fragments which run 2 to 30 millimeters in diameter and several centimeters long. So the example of fungi found in soil. In many ecosystems, fungi constitute the largest biomass of all the soil organisms, ranging from 500 to 5,000 kilograms per hectare. Among the soil fungi, one can find omicite, hypocritriosmite, hycropotriomycite, trichomycite, critidiomycite, zygomycite, azomycite, basidiomycite, and imperfect fungi. Some of the common fungi found in the soil include Amanita tricolama, Terenderia, Discomces, Telepora bertillicium, Phytophthora rhizoctonia, and Psyllium. Fungi in general tend to dominate over the bacterial and actinomycete as acidic soil as they can tolerate a wider range of pH level. So, ang fungi kay pinopromote niya ang mali. So, the positive effects of fungi in soil. So, fungi play essential role in the soil. They are help to nutrient cycling, water, dynamics, and disease suppression, all of which maintain and healthy of soil and increase crop yield. Fungi are important decomposer of organic matter in the soil where they use nitrogen in the soil, decompose woody residue. The large size of fungi protects plants against pest diseases and drought. Fungi are the most good producer of antibiotic compounds such as penicillin and cycloporins. So ang fungi, pinopromote niya ang healthier plants by attacking plant pathogen with fungal enzyme. So pinaka-importante niya ang decompose. So ang fungi ang pinaka-importanting decomposer dahil gumagamit siya ng nitrogen to decompose woody carbon residue. So the negative effects of fungi in soil, the pathogenic group in soil result in various plant diseases by degenerating the plant tissue and creating a weakened nutrient different plant. In addition of the negative effects of fungi in soil, the direct effects of the plants, fungi also affect the interaction between plants which change the competitive balance between two species. So protozoa are larger microbes that love to consume the surrounded by bacteria. In fact, nutrients that are eaten by bacteria are released when protozoa in turn eat the bacteria. Protozoa are unicellular eukaryotic microorganisms that lack cell wall. They are motile heterotrophs that obtain food by injecting bacteria, yeast, algae, small protozoa, and organic matter. So the example of protozoa found in soil, amoeba, ciliates, and flagellates are the three groups of protozoan found in soil. So some protozoa might remain in symbiotic relationship with other microorganisms like bacteria and fungi. So the positive effects of protozoa in soil. Protozoa are crucial terrestrial ecosystem where they act as bacterial consumer, leading to mineralization of organic soil nitrogen to form ammonium. Protozoan community in the soil can also be used as assess and monitor the changes in the biotic and abiotic component of soil, thus acting as bioindicators of the soil. So the protozoa mineralizing nutrients para may magamit ang mga plants at iba pang soil organism. At ang protozoa din, it maintains soil fertility by releasing nutrients when they digest bacteria. Negative effects of protozoa in soil. As most bacterial communities in the soil are the source of food or protozoan, the presence of protozoa in soil affects bacterial diversity. Nematodes. Nematodes are microscopic worms that live around or inside plant. Some nematodes are predators while others are beneficial, eating photogenic nematodes and secreting nutrients to the plant. Nematodes are the small invertebrates with smooth insegment bodies that typically 50 micrometer in diameter and 1 millimeter in length. So the nematodes is a cylindrical worm, parasitic in animals or plants or free. So example of nematodes found in soil. Nematodes found soil residue in the top layer of the soil with organic matter, even if they do not feed or the dead of decaying matter. These feed in living microorganisms that are present on the soil surfaces. Nematode in the soil can be either free living or parasitic. Soil nematodes can be classified into 4 different groups: bacterial feeders, fungal feeders, protozoan feeders, and omnivorous rather. So the positive effects of nematodes in soil. Soil nematodes, especially those feeding on bacteria and fungi, help maintain the microbial community of the soil and also ensure that enough nitrogen is available in the soil for the plants. Nematodes might even enhance soil fertility by decomposing complex organic compounds into simpler forms. The movement of nematode through the soil increases the porosity of that soil, thus maintaining a balanced soil ecosystem. So the negative effects of nematode in soil. Predatory nematodes in soil harm the useful microbial community of the soil, decreasing the soil health. Plant parasitic nematodes feed the seedling and plant roots that cause crop loss in different agricultural soil. So lastly, viruses. So viruses are genetic elements that can replicate independently of cell chromosome but not independently cell themselves. Viruses are smaller than bacteria and range in size of 20 to 30 millimeter in diameter. Viruses are obligate parasites of bacteria, fungi, insect, plant, and animals that inhabit the soil. As viruses are obligate parasites, they can be found anywhere in the world where there is life. So example of viruses found in soil. Viruses are the most abundant biological entities on our planet to exceed the number of cellular organisms in marine of soil habitats. The majority of soil viruses are tailed bacteriophages that prepare wetland forest soil over drier agricultural soil. Soil act as reservoir of viruses, but thus are probably not entirely static reservoirs as at least some viruses seem to move readily between environments. The positive effects of viruses in soil. The main way in which viruses in soil act beneficially is by transferring genes between microbial hosts by horizontal gene transfer. The gene transfer enables the transfer of beneficial characteristics between different communities. Viruses of different microbes in the soil as pathogenic have essential role in regulating the population structure for their microbial host. So the negative effects of viruses. Among the viruses community in soil, distinct proportion are plant pathogen that reach the plant via mechanical means, nematode vectors or fungal vectors. Viruses also affect other microbial communities or bacteria, fungi, and protozoa that cause an imbalance in the biotic component of the soil. So that's all my discussion, Mr. Jasper, Estrella.
Yes, thank you for that very knowledgeable presentation, Mr. Ray LOLIPAY. Okay, before we proceed with our last speaker, is there any question from the viewer? Okay, none. Okay, let's proceed to our last speaker, Miss Sherry DIONA. Miss Sherry is currently a student at Davao Sur State College, taking up Bachelor of Science in Agriculture, major in crop protection. She will be discussing about soil microbes and its role to sustainable agriculture and contributions different soil microbes to agriculture. Okay, Miss Sherry, you may now share your slide. It seems that there is no more questions for Mr. Ray LOLIPAY. Okay, let's proceed to our last speaker, Miss Sherry DIONA, for her topic, soil microbes and its role to sustainable agriculture and contributions of different soil microbes to agriculture. Miss Sherry, you may now share your slide.
Jasper. Thank you, Mr. Jasper. Now, soil microbes are very small forms of life that can sometimes leave a single cells, although many also form colonies of cells. A microscope is usually needed to see individual cells of this organism. Many more microorganisms exist in topsoil, where food sources are more plentiful than its soil. The beneficial soil microbes perform fundamental functions such as nutrient cycling, breaking down crop residues, and stimulating plant growth. The role of microbes is to maintain soil health and as well as the plant. One of the goals of agricultural production systems should be to create conditions that enhance the growth of beneficial organisms, where the vast majority, while decreasing population, those few that are potentially harmful. There are three different types of soil microbes: bacteria, fungi, and nematodes. Each of these microbes types has a different job to both soil and plant health. First, bacteria. Bacteria is the crucial workforce of soil. They are the final stage of breaking down nutrients and releasing them to the root zone for the plants. In fact, the Food and Agriculture Organization once said, bacteria may well be the most valuable life forms in the soil. And here one of the example of bacteria called cyanobacteria. Cyanobacteria, frequently called blue-green algae. Although they are bacteria, they're found near the soil surface in fields, puddles, and flooded soils. They can fix atmospheric nitrogen as well as photosynthesize. Oxygen is released as a byproduct of photosynthesis, and cyanobacteria are believed to be the organism living in ancient seas that oxygenated the Earth's atmosphere, allowing plants and animals to need oxygen to evolve and survive. It was the oxygen pumped into the atmosphere by cyanobacteria that led to an incredibly wide proliferation of organisms, including all those you see around you on farms and forests and prairies and cities and lakes and oceans. So, ang bacteria pala, makikita lang pala dyan sa forest, sa mga cities, kung saan ka nakatira or nakatayo or saan ka nagpa-farm. Yan, dyan pala makikita ang mga bacteria. And the second soil microbes is fungi. Fungi also initiate the decomposition of waste organic residues. They help get things going by subtracting organic debris and making it easier for the other organism to join in the decomposition process. Fungi are also the same decomposers of lining and are less sensitive to acid soil condition than bacteria. None are able to function without oxygen. The low amount of soil disturbance resulting from reduced tillage systems tends to promote organic residues. Accumulation at and near the surface, which in the turn encourages fungal growth, as happens in many natural or undisturbed ecosystem. So, mas favorable ang fungi sa kanang mga non-human activities na mga mga lugar, like hindi pa siya na taniman ng crops or kahit anong raisings animals dyan, mas madali ang maglaki yung mga fungi pag ganyan ng mga lupa na hindi pa na gagalaw ng mga human activities. And one of the example of fungi is Trichoderma. Trichoderma is a genus of fungi in the family hypocrisy that is present in all soils. Well, they are the most prevalent culturative fungi. Many species in this genus can be characterized as opportunistic virulent plants symbionts. This refers to the ability of several trichodermy species to form mutualistic endophytic relationships with several plant species. Trichoderma are used as successful plant growth enhancers, biostimulant, biofertilizers, and as effect of biocontrol agents against virus pathogens. And last is nematodes. Nematodes, beneficial nematodes are microscopic and non-segmented roundworms that occurs naturally in soil throughout the world. Inside the nematode's gut is the real weapon, beneficial bacteria that, when released inside an insect kill, between 24 to 48 hours, the nematodes enter the larvae via the mouth, anus, respiratory opening, or direct through the body wall of the pest. Next, nematodes eject their bacteria inside the pest's body. These bacteria multiply and cause blood poisoning of the pest, leading to death. They also convert host tissue into nutrition for the nematodes to feed on and multiply. As the food resources within the dead pest becomes scarce, nematodes accept the pest and immediately start searching for a new host. So this is one of the examples of nematodes. Nematodes, there are also many beneficial nematodes that help in the breakdown of organic residue and feed of fungi, bacteria, and protozoa as a secondary or tertiary consumer. In fact, as with the protozoa, nematodes feeding on fungi and bacteria help convert nitrogen into forms for plants to use. As much as 50% or more of mineralized nitrogens comes from nematodes feeding. A number of nematodes alone or with special bacteria parasitize and kill insects such as the larvae of the cabbage looper and the crabs of the Japanese beetle. So, mauna ini ayun pala ang role ng mga microbes and soil microbes sa ating earth. So, nematodes, yun pala ang nagapatay ng mga harmful insects na nagagaling sa cabbage and Japanese beetles. And that's all the role of soil microbes in our earth and for our agricultural practices.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Sherry, for that presentation. Okay, are there any more questions before we would proceed for our closing remarks for Ms. Sherry DIONA? Anyone for viewers?
I have a question for your presentation, Ms. Jonah.
Yes, Mr. KINT.
How do soil microbes help agriculture?
Thank you for that question, Mr. Taladua. How do soil microbes help agriculture? So soil microbes help to decomposing organic matter and recycle old plant materials to convert nutrients for the plant.
Okay, thank you for the answer, Mrs. Jonah. Is the answer clear, Mr. KINT Taladua? Nakuha ba ang pangutana? Ay, ang kutubag?
Okay na, sir.
Okay. Are there any more questions? Okay, Mr. Adrian KINT GESULGA, do you have questions for our final speaker, Ms. Jonah?
Na ako'y kuan lang. I have a question for you, Miss Jonah. How to encourage beneficial microorganism in your garden?
Thank you for that question, Mr. Ken. So, again, how to encourage beneficial microorganism in your garden. So, add compost to your garden because carbon is the primary energy source for microorganisms. They need lots of organic matter to thrive. Adding compost to your garden will ensure they have a steady supply of organic matter.
Klaro ang tubag, Mr. GESULGA. Na-answer ba?
Yes po.
Okay. Well, that's all we've got for you here today. Thank you for joining our webinar, Sustainable Agriculture and Soil Microbes. And then we appreciate you signing in and hope you learned a lot. Before we sign off, I would like to say thank you for our team. Well, that's all we've got for you here today. Before we close this webinar, I would like to thank my team, BENZONE SEPE and JUDYANN AMPARADOS for their efforts on creating this webinar. Thank you for the efforts. Without you, this webinar would not be possible. And for our director and editor, Mr. John ARCOBA, for being a very supportive editor and director. Thank you for creating the script of this webinar and all the components therein. And thank you for the viewers. Thank you for joining our webinar. And feel free to reach out to me via email if you are interested or want to know more. We'll see you next time. Thank you.